My name's Sarah, and I'm just an ordinary woman from a small town in rural Ohio, where the fields stretch wide and everybody knows your business. I've spent my life blending into the background. Plain brown hair, average height, nothing about me screaming, "Look at me." Growing up, I was the kid who'd rather sketch in a notebook than chase popularity. My family didn't have much. We scraped by on my dad's mechanic wages and my mom's part-time shifts at the diner. Watching them juggle bills left me craving stability, something solid to hold on to. After college, I landed a job at an insurance firm in Columbus, crunching numbers in a cubicle. It wasn't glamorous, but it was safe, and safe was all I ever wanted. By my 30s, though, safe started feeling like a cage. I'd watch my older sister, still single and living alone in our hometown, and this gnawing fear crept in that I'd end up the same, alone, forgotten. Nobody's first choice. I'd never been the girl guys noticed. Plain, dependable Sarah didn't turn heads, and the few dates I'd had fizzled out fast. I started to think maybe I'd missed my shot at love, that I'd be stuck watching rom-coms alone forever. That loneliness ate at me, so one night, after too much coffee and not enough sleep, I did something reckless. I signed up for a dating app. That's how I met Ryan. He was everything I wasn't. Tall, handsome, with a smile that could sell you the moon. 2 years younger than me, he worked in sales at a big company in Columbus. Always dressed sharp, always quick with a joke. When his profile popped up, I thought, no way this guy's into me. But he messaged first, and soon we were texting all hours, him calling me gorgeous in a way that made my cheeks burn. I fell hard, fussed, and before I knew it, we were planning a wedding. Ryan insisted we have the ceremony in my hometown. "Zara, you deserve to be the star," he said, his eyes crinkling with that charm I couldn't resist. I thought it was the sweetest thing, picturing myself walking down the aisle in a little church surrounded by people who'd known me since I was a kid. Since my town's out in the sticks, most of Ryan's friends couldn't make the trip, so he only invited a couple of close ones. I didn't mean distance. I was just happy to have my friends there, filling the pews with familiar faces. Ryan would lean in and whisper, "If Sarah's happy, I'm happy," and I'd feel like the luckiest woman alive. My heart swelled, thinking I'd found someone who saw me, really saw me, for the first time. Looking back, I was blind. I didn't know who Ryan really was, not then. I was too caught up in the fairy tale, too grateful that a guy like him picked a woman like me. At our reception, dancing under string lights in a borrowed barn, I felt like I'd finally outrun that loneliness. But life has a way of pulling the rug out when you least expect it, and mine was about to come crashing down. One evening, after a long day at the insurance firm, I dragged myself home to our Columbus apartment, my shoulders aching from hours hunched over spreadsheets. I expected Ryan to be at work or maybe out grabbing dinner, but there he was, sprawled on the couch, controller in hand, the TV blaring with some racing game. "Hey, Beeb," he said, eyes glued to the screen. I figured he'd gotten off early, so I started chopping veggies for dinner, my knife slicing through carrots with a steady rhythm. That's when he dropped it, casual as anything. "Oh, by the way, I quit my job." I nearly sliced my finger off. "You quit?" Without talking to me. My voice shook, half from shock, half from the sting of being blindsided. Ryan didn't even look up. "It's not a big deal, Zara. I'm an adult. I make my own calls." I stood there, knife frozen mid-chop, my mind racing. Zure, he could make his own choices, but we were married. Didn't that mean we decided things like this? I pressed him, my heart pounding. "Why'd you quit? Did something happen at work?" "My boss was an idiot," he said. Thumb smashing the controller. "There's better out there for me." "Better where?" I wanted to scream. Instead, I asked, "Like what?" He shrugged. "I'll figure it out." "God, Zara, you're acting like my mom. Marrying an older woman's exhausting." That jab about my age hit like a slap. It wasn't the first time he'd thrown it in my face. Whenever I pushed back, he'd smirk and say, "You're lucky a guy like me picked you. Most women your age don't get this chance." I'd bite my tongue because part of me, the part that still felt like plain, unloved Sarah, believed him. But this wasn't just about hurt feelings. Our life was about to implode. "Ryan, we're sending money to your parents," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Their condo's rent is insane. My salary alone can't cover both our place and theirs." His parents had quit their jobs not long after we got married, claiming they were too worn out to keep working. I didn't judge them for it at first. Live your life, you know? But then they showed up at our door, asking for help with their rent and bills. They lived in a fancy 4-bedroom condo near downtown Columbus. All glass and high ceilings. The kind of place that screamed money we didn't have. Ryan didn't blink. Sarah's got it covered. He told them like it was nothing. I wasn't okay with it, but I went along because I didn't want to seem heartless. Now, with Ryan jobless, I saw the math crumbling. "What about your parents' rent?" I asked, chopping harder, my frustration spilling into the knife. Ryan clicked his tongue, annoyed. "You'll handle it, Zara. We're a team, right? I'll take over once I find something better." Then he turned up the game's volume, conversation over. I stood there, staring at the back of his head, feeling like I'd been sucker punched. My paycheck was decent, but not enough to float 2 households, especially not with their condo's sky-high rent. We'd already started dipping into our savings, money I'd scraped together over years of careful budgeting. And Ryan? He didn't lift a finger around the house, didn't cook, didn't clean, just sat there gaming or slipping out to who knows where with cash from our joint account. That night, I lay awake, the weight of it all pressing on my chest. I'd always wanted stability, but now I was carrying the whole load while Ryan acted like I owed him. Part of me wanted to walk out, to leave him and his parents to figure it out. But the thought of being alone again, of facing that empty future I'd feared for so long, kept me stuck. So I did what I always did, I kept going. I started picking up freelance graphic design gigs after work, burning the midnight oil to draw logos and posters, anything to keep us afloat. Meanwhile, Ryan's job hunt was non-existent. I'd catch him sneaking out with my debit card, saying he needed a break at some casino downtown. My love for him was fraying thread by thread, but I wasn't ready to let go. Not yet. Months dragged on, and our apartment felt more like a prison than a home. My days blurred into a grind. 9 hours at the insurance firm, then nights hunched over my laptop, designing flyers and business cards for clients I found online. My eyes burned from the screen. My fingers cramped from sketching. But every extra dollar went to keeping us afloat and paying Ryan's parents' rent. Ryan, meanwhile, was a ghost in our marriage. He'd sleep till noon, game all day, or vanish to the casino with money I'd earned. When I'd ask about his job search, he'd snap, "I'm working on it, Zara. Stop nagging. You're lucky to have a guy like me." That line, always that line, like I should be grateful for his presence while he bled me dry. His parents didn't help. They'd call, their voices sharp over the phone, complaining the money we sent wasn't enough. "Zara, you're not exactly young," his mom said once, her tone dripping with judgment. "Shouldn't you be earning more by now? Ryan used to take care of us just fine." I wanted to scream that Ryan wasn't taking care of anyone, that I was the one drowning under their expectations. Instead, I'd mumble apologies and promise to send more, my stomach twisting with resentment. I'd grown up watching my own parents struggle, so I knew how to stretch a dollar, but this was different. I was pouring everything into a black hole and nobody cared. The worst part was how Ryan made me feel small, unworthy, like I was nothing without him. "You're over 30, Zara," he'd say, smirking. "Who else is gonna want you?" Those words dug deep, hooking into that old fear of ending up alone, like my sister, who'd text me about her quiet evenings with just her cat for company. I'd lie awake, wondering if divorce was the answer, imagining a life free of Ryan's weight. But then I'd picture myself alone in some tiny apartment, no one to share my days with, and the fear would paralyze me. What if this was my only shot at love? What if I left and ended up with nothing? I pushed through, taking on more freelance work, my hand shaking from exhaustion as I balanced deadlines. Ryan didn't notice. He'd ask for a few bucks for the casino, claiming it was his way to unwind. I'd hand over the cash, hating myself for it, but too tired to fight. My love for him wasn't love anymore, it was habit, desperation, a refusal to admit I'd made a mistake. I'd look at our wedding photos, at my smiling face under those barn lights, and wonder where that Sarah went, the one who believed in fairy tales, who thought Ryan saw her worth. Now, I was just a paycheck, a means to an end, and the weight of that truth was crushing me. One evening, bone-tired from work, I stopped at a Columbus supermarket to grab groceries. My cart was half full of cheap pasta and canned beans when a voice broke through my haze. Sarah? Hey, it's me. I turned to see a man in a crisp suit, his face warm with a smile I vaguely recognized. I'm Marcus. We met at your wedding, friend of Ryan's. It clicked then, Marcus, one of the few guys Ryan invited to our hometown ceremony. I hadn't recognized him out of his casual wedding clothes, but his kind eyes jogged my memory. Sorry, Marcus, it's been a while. I said, embarrassed. He waved it off, tossing a loaf of bread into his cart. No worries. I just wanted to check in. How are you holding up? His tone was gentle, like he knew something I didn't. I shrugged, forcing a smile. Oh, same old. Ryan's between jobs. Marcus's face tightened, and he lowered his voice. Look, Sarah, I don't talk to Ryan anymore. Haven't for a while. He blinked, confused. What? Why? He hesitated, then spilled it. Ryan wasn't who I thought. Back in college, Ryan had a gambling problem, blowing cash on slot machines and borrowing from friends like Marcus, without ever paying them back. Marcus stuck around because they worked together, but when Ryan got fired, not quit, fired, for skipping sales calls to hit the casino, Marcus had enough. He called me after he got canned, asking for another loan. Marcus said, shaking his head. I cut him off for good. I stood there, gripping my cart, the fluorescent lights buzzing above me. Fired? Ryan had told me his boss was the problem, that he'd left on his own terms. Every word out of his mouth had been a lie. Marcus's words cracked something open inside me. All those months of Ryan's smirks, his "you're lucky to have me" barbs, his parents' demands, it all came rushing back, and I saw it for what it was, a con. I wasn't just a wife. I was a mark. My hands trembled as I thanked Marcus, my voice barely steady. You don't know what this means, I said. He just nodded, like he understood the storm he'd unleashed. That night, I couldn't sleep. Ryan's lies played on a loop in my head, but so did a new feeling, anger, sharp and clarifying. I wasn't worthless. I wasn't lucky to have him. I was done being his cash machine, but I knew Ryan and his parents wouldn't let go easily. They saw me as their ticket to an easy life. I needed a plan, something smarter than just walking out. My freelance graphic design gigs were picking up, bringing in steady cash. I opened a secret bank account, funneling every penny there, away from Ryan's grasp. I wasn't sure how I'd use it yet, but for the first time in months, I felt a spark of control. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was fighting back. A few weeks later, I made my move. I came home from work, my heart pounding but steady, and set my phone on the kitchen table. The banking app opened to our joint account. Ryan. I said, my voice calm. I quit my job. He froze, the controller slipping from his hands, his game forgotten. What the hell, Sarah? You quit? We're already broke. I turned the phone toward him, showing the balance. Almost nothing, drained by his parents, rent and his casino trips. We've been bleeding money, I said, echoing his own words. I need a break. Isn't it normal for spouses to support each other? Your turn to hold things down. His face went pale, panic creeping in. How are we supposed to live? I've got loans, Sarah. You need to get back to work, like yesterday. I just shrugged, my heart racing, but my resolve ironclad. Not my problem, Ryan. He called his parents in a frenzy, and within hours, they stormed into our apartment, tearing through drawers, convinced I was hiding cash. Where's the money? his mom demanded, her eyes wild. I showed them the empty account, my voice steady. There's nothing left. Oh, and that big withdrawal? That went to pay back a loan Ryan took from a friend. I had to borrow more to cover it. Ryan exploded. Who'd you pay? Why now? I looked him in the eye. Marcus. He told me about your debts, Ryan. I did what was right. His parents turned on me, and Ryan shouted, "Let's just divorce." They dragged me to the Franklin County Courthouse, thinking they'd cut ties with their broke cash cow. I signed the papers, my hand steady, while Ryan sneered. Good riddance, Zara. I'm done with your old, broke self. I walked out of the courthouse, free, and headed to a coffee shop downtown where Marcus was waiting. It worked, I told him, sliding into the booth. Divorce is done. He grinned, relieved. I was worried they'd make it harder. I laughed a real laugh, for the first time in months. Then I told him the truth. It was all a plan. I'd been stashing my freelance earnings in a secret account for weeks, building a nest egg Ryan and his parents knew nothing about. I'd paid Marcus back the money Ryan owed him, plus extra, to make my joint account look empty. Marcus slid an envelope across the table, the extra money I'd given him. This is yours, Zara, he said. I lent money to Ryan, not you. I never expected it back, but you're starting over. Keep it. I tried to argue, but Marcus wouldn't budge. Take it, he said, smiling. You've earned a new beginning. I could have cried right there, not just for the money, but for his kindness, for seeing me when I felt invisible. He'd opened my eyes to Ryan's lice and played along with my plan, no questions asked. I offered to cover his coffee as a thank you, and he laughed, accepting just that. From there, I went to my old office to pick up a bank card I'd left with my boss for safekeeping, the one tied to my secret account. My coworkers, who'd heard bits of my story, surprised me with a gift, a beautiful sundress and a pair of sandals bought from a nearby boutique. You deserve to feel good, my boss said, his voice thick. Go find your happiness, Zara. Leaving them was harder than I expected, but I had to. Ryan knew where I worked, and I couldn't risk him showing up. I moved back to my hometown in Ohio, my work supplies tucked in a bag I grabbed when Ryan's parents dragged me to the courthouse. My freelance graphic design business took off. Logos, book covers, websites, you name it. I was making enough to live comfortably, to breathe without that constant weight on my chest. Ryan and his parents weren't so lucky. They couldn't pay their condo's rent and got evicted, then lost our old apartment too. Last I heard, they were scraping by in a rundown trailer near a river outside Columbus. Ryan called me once, using a gas station payphone, his voice cracking. Zara, I'm sorry. I can't live without you. Can we try again? I didn't hesitate. You said you regretted marrying an older woman, Ryan. I'm done being your 8, goodbye. I hung up and never answered another call from a number I didn't know. Looking back, I see it all so clearly. I spent so long afraid of being alone, thinking I had to hold on to Ryan because he was my only shot. But he didn't love me, he loved what I could give him. Leaving him wasn't just about escaping, it was about finding myself. I'm not plain, unworthy Sarah anymore. I'm a woman who built her own life, who learned to value her own heart. There's no rush to marry, no deadline to meet. Vita, I'm 30 or 50, I get to live on my terms and that's enough. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through betrayal, heartbreak, and a hard-won victory. If my story hit you, hit that subscribe button and join me. Every design I create, every day I live, tells a story of grit, freedom, and starting over. Keep carving your own path and I'll meet you where the real work happens, at the drawing board of your own life.